Is this a police or medical?
My boyfriend is dead.
This woman locked her boyfriend inside of a suitcase and left him there to die overnight. This is the shocking true story of Sarah Boone. And you need to watch this to the very end because this is very, very weird and has a massive twist that you wouldn't expect. Sarah Boone and her boyfriend George Torres had a very rocky relationship. They both had criminal records and they both have history of domestic abuse. And Sarah's boyfriend George Torres was known for cheating on Sarah many times. Sarah Boone was a very controlling woman and she was determined to take full control back of this relationship after she found out of all of the cheating that Torres had done. And on the night of the 23rd of February 2020, she decided to do exactly that in the most disgusting, shocking, most brutal way ever. The story that Sarah Boone told the police was that that night on 23rd of February 2020, her and her boyfriend George Torres was playing a game of hide and seek. They were both very drunk and they decided to play this game because they thought it'd be funny. One would go hide somewhere in the house and the other one would come find them. They were both drunk, intoxicated, and they thought it'd be fun to play a game of hide and seek whilst they were both drunk. She told the police that this was just a fun game. It was just something they decided to do whilst they were having drinks together, and it would be more fun because they were both drunk. So this is exactly what she told the police that happened on the 23rd of February 2020. Sarah supposedly said she hid in the shower for a very long time and she couldn't find her boyfriend anywhere in the house. And she said it would be kind of funny if he could try and hide inside of a suitcase. That was her story. She said that he was trying to get inside the suitcase because it was funny and he wanted to see if he could fit inside the suitcase. She wanted to see, in fact, if he could fit inside the suitcase. So her boyfriend willingly got into the suitcase to see if he could actually fit in there. This is what Sarah said happened. He got straight into the suitcase and went along with it to see if he could actually fit and hide inside the suitcase. Sarah also said that the zipper on the suitcase was broken, so she used a paper clip to hold the suitcase together, you know, just in case if he got stuck for some reason, he'd be able to get out of the suitcase. She then told police that it'd be more funny if, in fact, she actually left him inside the suitcase just for a little bit, just to get the game a bit more intense. This is what she told police. She said she left him in a suitcase for a bit as it'd make the game a bit more fun, a bit more lively, and you know, she just kind of did it as a joke. She then told police she then went upstairs and actually fell asleep because she was too drunk. Like I said previously before, she said she'd been drinking, they'd both been drinking that night, and she completely forgot that she actually locked him in the suitcase. She went upstairs for a rest and she actually fell asleep and left her boyfriend inside of the suitcase. In the morning when she woke up, she realized that she didn't know where her boyfriend was. So she went downstairs and realized and remembered that in fact she actually locked her boyfriend inside the suitcase and he's been there all night long. She started panicking and wondering, well, obviously he should still be alive, right? So she unzipped the suitcase and George was unresponsive. He wasn't replying and he seemed dead straight away. He must have lost suffocation overnight and couldn't breathe and just passed away in this suitcase. Now, instead of calling the police, she actually called her ex-husband to come and help her. She didn't ring an ambulance or ring the police, she rang her ex-husband to come and help her in this situation. When her ex-husband came to the house, he said that she needs to call the police straight away because he came in, saw the body inside the suitcase, and he told Sarah that she needs to ring the police and an ambulance immediately. She did in fact then actually call 911 and told them everything that had just happened. She was very weirdly calm and this is exactly what she said to the 911 operator.
Is this a police or medical?
My boyfriend is dead.
Okay, send the line for the fire department. Do not hang up.
No, tell me exactly what happened there.
My boyfriend and I were playing last night, and I put him in a suitcase and we were playing, and like kind of hide and seek kind of thing. So I fell asleep and I woke up and he was dead in the suitcase, so I don't know what happened.
She was very calm about the situation. She said, you know, it was just a mistake, it was an accident. She completely forgot about, you know, locking her boyfriend in the suitcase. And that was because, the reason she was so calm is because all of that was an actual lie. That's what she told the police what happened. But police later discovered the actual dark truth of what really happened. And this is shocking and you're not going to believe this. When she went into the police, they obviously questioned her and they actually got a warrant to search her mobile phone just to see if there was anything on it, any evidence that they could use in this case to see if her story actually did match what happened. So the police got a warrant to search Sarah Boone's phone and what they found was disgusting. On her phone were 2 videos that actually showed the real truth of what happened that night. And I can tell you, it was nothing like what she told the police. In fact, it was 100 times worse and is really sickening. These 2 videos on her phone were actually Sarah Boone videoing her suffocating her boyfriend, Torres. And she actually recorded it on 2 videos, which these videos are heartbreaking. You can hear in the video, as you can hear here.
I can't breathe, babe.
That's on you.
Sarah, I can't breathe.
It's on you.
Sarah.
You can hear him saying, you know, he's suffocating, he needs to get out, he can't breathe, he needs air. I'm not going to play the full length of these videos because they are honestly horrible, and I don't want to share that on this video because it's just not morally right to show somebody's last moments and begging to get out of a suitcase. It is honestly horrible. And these are the videos that actually were found on Sarah Boone's phone. Throughout the video, she is heard saying, the reason I'm doing this to you is because you cheat on me, you deserve this, it's your fault you're in the suitcase, you shouldn't have got in the suitcase, you're gonna stay in the suitcase, and it's completely on him. All of this is happening because of him. And that's what she kept saying throughout the video, whilst he was begging for his life to get out of this suitcase. Begging, pleading, he can't breathe, he needs to get out. And she was there laughing, videoing it. 2 videos she took on this phone, laughing about her boyfriend who is suffocating inside of the suitcase that she used to use for her old clothes. Not only did she video him, she kept telling him that he needs to shut up, he needs to stay quiet. This is gonna happen whether he likes it or not. And honestly, the video is very, very truly shocking. Now, when the police saw this, they saw the 2 videos, they knew instantly that this wasn't what Sarah Boone said. They wasn't playing hide and seek. They wasn't doing anything that she said at all. And they charged her straight away with 2nd-degree murder. The police said this was definitely homicide. He was inside this suitcase for over 11 hours. And he had bruises and black eyes, and his body was completely battered. What makes this story even more sickening is when she did in fact get questioned by the police, they actually released a full interview, and she was saying, still going with the story, that she didn't know that he was panicking, she didn't know that he was actually suffering. She basically was trying to get out of this whole thing. I'm going to show you a clip right here of her basically being interviewed by the police, and you'll see for yourself how sickening some of the things she says is.
But why is he saying I can't breathe, and why is he pushing on it as if he can't get out?
I don't know what you want me to tell you. Like, I don't know, like, what you want me to tell you.
You're laughing in the beginning, and then in the end it sounds kind of like a...
No, not malicious.
Well, saying fuck you.
It's not malicious.
This was the sickening true crime story of Sarah Boone and her partner, Torres. And my thoughts go out to anybody who was affected by this and their families. This was disgusting. She planned this. She did this purposely to get back at her boyfriend for cheating on her. And she wanted to take back control as she was a controlling person, and she did exactly that. And she was found guilty of 2nd-degree murder. This ex-army soldier made a phone call to 999 and told them that he just murdered 2 people. But you won't believe the reason why he committed this murder. This is one of the most craziest true crime stories I've ever covered, so make sure you watch to the very end. This is a true crime story of Colin Reeves, an ex-army soldier. On the 21st November 2021, Colin Reeves sat on the bottom of his stairs and started crying in tears of the crime he just committed. Now, Colin was believed to be in severe pain and was in a very bad place of his army service. He left the army 4 years ago, and he always said he had flashbacks and bad memories and horror stories of all the things he saw when he was in the army, especially when he's in Afghanistan. He claims that all the things he can still see in his mind, from all the bad moments to bad visualizations, kept playing on his mind all the time, and he kept having flashbacks of things he saw when he was fighting out in Afghanistan. Now, at the same time, there was also a COVID pandemic, so there was massive lockdowns, so he couldn't really go out and do any work. So he was worried that he wasn't going to be able to provide for his family, his children, and his wife. So that was also playing on his mind a lot too. Quite a few times around his house, he was heard having arguments with his neighbours. His neighbours were always arguing with Colin, and Colin was also arguing with them a lot of the time. And there's a lot of witnesses who also heard Colin arguing multiple times, supposedly, with his neighbours. The reason why they were arguing, supposedly, was because of parking. Now, the parking situation really got to Colin. And in fact, they had a massive argument over a period of time, continuously over parking. The reasons why is because where Colin Lees lived, his two neighbours, Jennifer Chappell and Stephen Chappell, also had a similar house to them next door, and they all had one allocated parking spot outside the front of their house. So each house had one parking spot, and that generically means, you know, in the UK anyway, that you don't have two cars because you can't fit them there. It would be disrespectful towards your neighbours to have more because you'll start blocking them in. Well, in fact, Colin's neighbours, Jennifer Chappell, actually got two cars. So there was an ongoing debate for a while. A lot of the time, Colin was really taking this quite personal. He was really angry at the fact that, you know, they got a second car. It was disrespectful. Now, although she didn't purposely park it in his spot, his house, she parked it just enough so he could get out, but not enough to maneuver properly. So Jennifer Chappell wasn't intentionally trying to wind up Colin Reeves, but she was disrespecting him and his house and his family by making it harder to get his car in and out. You know, like I said, there's one car per house, she has two, so it's a disrespectful thing to the neighbours, and Colin Reeves was not happy about this. Now, over time, in fact months, the tensions grew and grew and grew. Every day it was getting worse. There was actually witnesses heard that on the 10 days previous to the crime that he committed, he was heard abusing and shouting at his neighbours. There was a lot of people who heard this over the period of time. But on the 21st of November, he decided that enough was enough, and he was about to commit a very dangerous and horrible crime, which you're not going to believe. Now, although he was annoyed at his neighbours, he was more than annoyed. He was actually very, very frustrated. In fact, he wanted to kill his neighbours over this situation. He was so triggered over this parking situation that it'd been going on for so long, and he wanted to murder them. He actually wanted to murder his own neighbours because of this parking situation. So he set out on the 21st of November 2021 to murder his neighbours. That is his plan, that was what he wanted to do, and that was what he was going to commit. On the day of the murder, Colin Reeves actually took his children to some Christmas lights. They were actually war memorial Christmas lights. So he took them there for the day, kind of like the later evening, he watched the lights turn on with his children. He came back home, and around 9 PM that same evening was when he was going to commit this crime. Now, using the skills he learnt in his elite commando course when he's in the army, he slipped into his next door neighbour's garden with an actual dagger he got from the army. It wasn't just a normal knife, he actually had a dagger that he got from the army, and he was planning on using this dagger to kill and murder his neighbours. Again, this was all over a parking route that had been going on and on and on for ages and ages and ages. At least that's what everyone thought it was over. But supposedly it wasn't, which I'm going to get to it later on in this story. So Colin Reeves went into the neighbour's house. Their two children, they had two sons, Stephen Chappell and Jennifer Chappell had two young sons. One was 5 and one was 6. They were upstairs asleep at the time, but that didn't stop Colin Reeves. He went into this house, he went to his next door neighbour's garden, snuck in through the house, and he actually in fact stabbed Stephen Chappell and his wife, Jennifer Chappell, and he left straight away. As soon as he stabbed them, he left straight away, went straight back to his house. After he went back to his house, it was supposed that he told his girlfriend straight away. At least that's what said. That's at least what said that he did. And later on, he actually called 999. And he basically confessed to his murder. He literally rang 999 and told them everything that he'd just done. He was sat on the bottom of his stairs. He was very sad. He had tears down his face, and he just realised what he actually done. His frustration got to him. All these months build up of a parking had tallied up, and he committed a crime that he said was kind of out of his control. So he rang the police, he rang 999, and this is what he said.
The neighbour's been stabbed by who?
By me.
By you?
Yes.
Right, okay. And where are they? Are they in their house?
Yes.
All right, stay on the line for me, okay? How bad are the injuries?
They've both been stabbed a couple of times.
Several times. All right, stay on the line for me, okay?
Now, when Reeves was taken into custody, he gave them his military service number and said that this crime he committed was an operation. He said that he doesn't remember the killing at all. In fact, the reason he did this was because of the Christmas lights he went to earlier that day, and it reminded him of flashes from the war. He kept getting flashbacks from the war, And this was what supposedly reminded him bad flashbacks were coming back, and he claims that he keeps getting these flashbacks and they're horror in his life, they're scaring him, and this is what made him commit that murder. He said that once he was at these Christmas lights, he keeps seeing flares everywhere, and in fact it wasn't obviously flares, it was the Christmas lights, but he kept thinking it was flares. Again, flashbacks from his past in the army in Afghanistan. So it seems like he didn't actually murder his neighbors over parking. It was kind of a flashback. He's saying he was out of control, he couldn't handle it, he kept getting bad flashbacks. He has post-traumatic experiences from the war, and that was the reasons why he killed his neighbors. But in fact, actually, when he went into the police station, they investigated him. He had 2 forensics psychiatrists basically analyze him and see if that was actually the real reason. And they actually confirmed that he wasn't suffering post-traumatic experiences, and he knew full well what he was doing. He was actually diagnosed with mild depression from obviously previous experiences. But the reasons he was supposedly given as to why he did this and why he was out of control, they ruled out and said he wasn't experiencing that and he was just having mild depression. The Crown Prosecution Service basically investigated everything into what he was saying and concluded that he knew what he was doing, he was fully in control. They wasn't saying that he didn't see flashbacks, but they were saying that the flashbacks wasn't the reason why he committed this murder. He was full in control of what he was doing. All the tests came back, like I said, to kind of say that he knew what he was doing. Again, this is what the reports say online. Again, no one really knows what was going through his head, whether or not he was seeing flashbacks, no one really knows for sure. My thoughts go out to all the families who was involved in this, and obviously his girlfriend as well, and anyone who's related to this case whatsoever, because this is such a bad experience and a bad story, and I feel really sorry for anybody who was involved. But yeah, this is a very saddened story. Then Colin Reeves actually did get sentenced to life in jail, and he has a minimum of 38 years in prison. This was one of the most craziest stories I've ever covered, and like I said, my thoughts go out to all the families and all the victims who was involved in this story. Guys, if you want to see more true crime stories, make sure you subscribe to my channel. I post every 2 days all the deepest stories, all the craziest stories that go on. And yeah guys, I'll see you in the next video.